Hey team! Today's lesson is going to teach us about place value to the 10,000. These numbers on the screen all have value to the thousands column. We would say this number as 7,462. This number 2,943. We would say this number as 5,673. This number we would say as 3,682. And this one we would say it's 12,376. Do you recognize these blocks? We use these blocks to help us represent place value. This one over here represents the ones. This block represents tens. You can see that there are 10 tiny little blocks that make up that 1, 10. This one over here represents hundreds. And can you guess what the last block represents? That's it. This block over here represents thousands. We can use these blocks to represent a number. Let's take a look at the number on the top of the screen. This number is 5,374. Let's have a think about how we could represent that number with these blocks below. Let's start by looking at the ones. What number is in the ones column? 4. Which block represents ones? Can you have a guess? That's right. These blocks over here. So we will need 1, 2, 3, 4 ones blocks to represent the 4 in the number 5,374. Next, we're going to have a look at the tens column. What number is represented in the tens column? The number 7 is represented in the tens column. When the number 7 is in the tens column, we can call it 7 tens or 70. Which block represents tens? That's right, these ones down here. So I will need 7 tens blocks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So now I have represented the 7 in tens and the 4 in ones. What number is in the hundreds? The number 3 is in the hundreds column. That represents 3 hundredths. Which block represents the hundreds? You guessed it. This is the hundreds block, so we will need 3 of these blocks. I have 1, 2, and I'll put the third one over here. 3. Alright, The next column. What is the name of the next column? We have our ones, our tens, our hundreds, and our thousands. In this number, we have how many thousands? That's it. We have 5 thousands. So we will need 5 of these thousands blocks that we can see down here to represent this number. Count them with me. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So now we have represented the number 5,374 with 5 thousands blocks, 3 hundreds blocks, 7 tens, and 4 ones, which helps us and gives us a clue to say the number 5,374. Now let's look at a different way to represent this number on a place value chart. Here we have a place value chart. Up the top you can see that we have our thousands block, our hundreds, our tens, and our ones to remind us of the blocks that we were just talking about. So on this chart we will write the number from up here that represents that place value. So remember, we have the number 5,374. Now think about what block we used to represent the 4. What block did we use to represent 4 ones? That's right, we used this block over here. How many of them did we need? 4. So let's write 4 in the ones column. Because we know that in the number 5,374 we have 4 ones. Let's move along to the tens. How many tens are there in this number? That's right, there are 7 tens. 7 here. So we have 7 tens, or 70. So remember the number again, let's say it gives us a clue every time. 5,374. Let's move on to the hundreds. Take a look at that number and see if you can tell me how many hundreds there are in this number. You guessed it, 3 hundreds. We can see the 3 in the number. So we have 3 hundreds. Now let's move on to the thousands. How many thousands are there in this number? That's right. We have 5 thousands in this number. So in a place value chart, this is what the number 5,374 looks like. We can also write this number as an expanded form. In the place value chart, as it is written, as we write it, call it a standard form. When we write the expanded form of the number, we write the value of each number in the place value chart. So let's have a look at the 4. in our ones column. So it's in our ones column, so we just write it as simply as a 4. Now in the tens column, let's have a look at how many we have. Say it to yourself, how many tens do we have? That's right, we have 7 tens. We can write this as 70. So let's write it down as 70. 70 is the same as 7 tens. Now let's have a look at our hundreds. How many hundreds do we have? Yep, we have 3. Can you guess the value of the 3 in this number? How would we write it? The value is 3 hundredths. So let's write 300. Can you see that we are writing the number as it is written for its value? So let's have a look at the thousands. We have 5 in the thousands column. So we would write that number as 5,000. What is written at the bottom is called the expanded form of the number. This here, that I'm putting a circle around right now, is the expanded form. This up the very top here, this is called the standard form. Can you remember that? Standard form is at the top. The expanded form of the number is this one down here at the bottom. They are the same number. They are just written differently. Both of these forms have the same place value. So we're getting pretty good at writing 4-digit numbers with thousands. So you should be able to write all of these numbers that you see that I'm circling here pretty easily in both expanded and standard form. But what we're going to learn next is looking at this number here. This number still has a value to the thousands column, but it's a little bit different to the other numbers. We have an extra place value column in this number. Can you see it? In this number we have 3,000, but in this number we have 2 numbers in the thousands area. We have 12,376. I wonder how we would write that number and how we would represent it. Okay guys, here we go again. Here is our last practice at writing these numbers in both expanded and standard form. Have a go at saying this number to yourself. Alright, so you should have said 32,941. Okay, so we're going to start by writing the ones into the place value chart. How many ones do I have? Yep, 1 ones. How many tens do I have? Let's have a look at the next column. How many tens do I have? 4. I have 4 tens in this number. How many hundreds do I have? This one here, 9 hundreds. Are you keeping up? How many thousands do I have? That's right, I have 2 thousands. And the last one, how many 10,000s do I have? I have 3 groups of 10,000 in this number. So there we have it. Our number is 32,941. Time for expanded version. So we have our ones. I'm going to write that one in first. Just write it simply as 1. We have our tens. So we're going to write that as a 10, 4 tens, which is 40. Our hundreds. We have 9 hundreds, which is 900. Good one. Then we have 2 in the thousands column. So we have 2,000. And our last one, in our 10,000s column, we have 3. So we have 30,000. So altogether we have 32,941. Now I'm going to say it for one last time. Don't forget that this form up here at the top of the page, tell me what it is. What form is that number written in? You have 2 options. Standard form, or is it expanded form? That's right, it's the standard form up the top here. And this form down the bottom, this is the expanded form. Well guys, I hope you've listened very hard to the information in this video. Good luck with your activities.